Good morning, everyone. He said that in Hungarian. I'm trying to learn Hungarian, but it's a difficult language. Although we have had mutual relationships for more than 10 years, and I travel a lot here, and I try hard to learn your language, but for the time being, I have to stick with Polish. Thank you very much for the introduction. That is correct. Our civic clubs are probably the largest such organization in Poland and in Europe, perhaps as well. Interestingly, it grew out of a media, which is the newspaper Gazeta Polska, starting from Australia all the way to the United States and Canada. We have member organizations. We are not present in Africa, so that's an uncharted territory for now. But not only journalists participate and not only Polish people participate in our movements, there are also a lot of members who don't even speak Polish, but they agree with our ideas. So today we are going to talk about the future of Europe, what Europe should look like, what the European Union, the future of the European Union should look like. There have been a lot of debates about this. For instance, about a week, 1.5 weeks ago, there was a huge demonstration organized by Gazeta Polska, and the motto was, you're not going to get Poland out of the EU. Because actually, the European Court ruled that one of the largest power plants in Germany should be shut down. That would mean thousands of people becoming unemployed, and also this power plant provides energy for the heating of thousands of people. And actually, it's not only revolting because of that, but also because the judge who passed the decision didn't take into account all the important factors. Very close to that power plant, across the border in Germany and in the Czech Republic, there are very similar power plants which continue operating, and they don't disturb anyone. And for some reason, the Polish power plant disturbed some EU decision makers. But actually, the Polish government passed a decision on its own, saying that our sovereignty is more important, and we uphold the right to decide which power plants should operate. So we will not bend our knees in front of Europe. However, the Polish representatives were not even allowed to bring up the issue in the European Parliament or in the European institutions. And actually, the Polish Prime Minister tried to raise some questions, raise some issues about this decision, and he was silenced. This is revolting because a basic principle of the European Union is democracy. Namely, it means that each country should have the right to pass decisions for its own territory. And if the European Union decides to veto some decisions that it doesn't like, that's not democratic. That's how the EU works. And the Polish, the Hungarian, and all the other nations joined a European Union which is based on mutual agreements. It's based on treaties. And we accepted the provisions, the regulations of those treaties, but if the EU continues operating and not following the rules of those treaties, then what kind of a European Union are we going to have? So, shall we just remain silent and do nothing? The dissatisfaction is growing in Poland, in Hungary, in France, in Spain, in Slovenia. There are more and more disillusioned people who are disappointed and will not agree with it. But now we are going to have a debate about a new European Union because it seems that the current treaties do not provide enough guarantees. So yes, let's suggest a new union. Earlier this week, I wrote some sentences about what this union should look like. Obviously, the union that we joined has some positive values. For example, the open borders for the European citizens, the free movement of labor, the free trade. For the citizens of the European Union, but not for the dictators, not for the superpowers who question the freedom of the nations. This is how I diagnose this problem. When the bureaucrats in Europe receive too much money, for instance, that's a problem. So far, we have agreed to increase the budget of the European Union because we also received some of that money back. But unfortunately, it must be seen clearly that we can only give money, so much money to the European Union that we can get back, that we can profit from. But everybody wants to steal that money, and we don't want to allow them to steal it. So, in my opinion, we have to make it more difficult for them to steal our money. That's my honest opinion. If, for example, there are subsidies for the agriculture, the Union provides this subsidy to us, then why should we pay the money to the Union in order to get back the money from the Union from the same purposes? Then we could just directly subsidize our own agriculture. Let's just set the limits of the subsidies, and we don't need to invest the money into the European Union and then let the Union decide what we need. So actually we put so much money in the Union, then so much that we can also get back. And we are not interested in reallocating those funds. Let's just keep the money in our own country. So whenever we give money to the Union, they feel more and more inclined to take away some of our freedoms. But if we don't give them the money, then they will not be able to steal our freedom if we don't give them all that money. Let's see if we have any hopes that the people who steal will not steal later. Well, hope is the last thing that dies, but in the European Union I don't see a lot of hopes. So the new plan for the Union should be that we pay in only a little amount of money, and everything should work based on social agreement or social consent. For instance, I don't need a permit from the European Union to come and visit my friend Laszlo and to participate in this conference. Actually, the Union would like to ban it because we are talking about topics that they don't like. The Union should be where we need agreements, but we don't need the Union where we can make our own agreements with each other. So the scope of jurisdiction of the Union should be limited. Then maybe Britain would like to return. Then maybe other countries like Georgia or Albania would like to join, because then the Union would not be so expensive to maintain, and it wouldn't only be about stealing money. And the other problem is that whenever we try to find a thief, we always come to the conclusion that Germany has most of the money. Why Why is it that always the richest profit the most? The German must understand that a project where there is only one winner is not a good project, because then the other nations will turn away from them. We would like to have good relationship with all the other member states, but it's not a good relationship that somebody steals and we say that's okay. The good relationship is that nobody steals from nobody. Thank you.